Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
What just happened? What just happened? I had to review the material several times. I had to read several articles. I had to watch multiple videos. I had to shake my head, slap myself. And I was still asking myself what I'm asking right now. What just happened? It's complete chaos out in Alberta over this separatist question. This, should Alberta leave? Should Alberta stay? They had a meeting today and they've approved a question. But I had to then again ask, what the hell is this all about? What just happened? What is it? What are they doing? Not that they ever really know what they're doing. They're a bunch of politicians, but what just happened? The people who want to blow up the country, metaphorically, their petition was quashed. So the people who want to keep the country together, their petition went forward for review and wasn't challenged in the courts. And so now it has been approved to trigger a referendum, essentially doing exactly the same thing that would have happened if the other petition had been approved, even though the people with the petition that want to keep the country together didn't want a referendum, so they say, but it's going to happen anyway because the government wants to protect people's rights and honor democracy. Welcome to Canada. I don't know what I am. What just happened? What the hell is this? This is a mockery. This is a circus. This is ridiculous. We'll talk about it tonight. We might even open the phone lines because I'm at a little bit of a loss for words over what just happened.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Once again, you can't make this stuff up. It's actually happening. Let's just think back to just yesterday and what happened yesterday. They had this committee meeting to discuss the Forever Canadian petition, the one that was still alive, the one that asks the question, basically, do you want Canada to stay together? Do you want Alberta to stay within Canada? Uh, I'm not using the exact language. I'm going to show you some exact language that's part of the problem here, at the core of the problem, really. But that was what was happening in the committee meeting. And then, before any vote or anything had happened, before there was any resolution, anything, the discussion's still going on. A media release from the United Conservative Party of Canada, of Alberta, rather, is sent out prematurely, saying that they've approved the Forever Canadian question to be placed on a referendum in October, which essentially does the same thing as the question from the Separatist side, which is it's asking everybody, do you want Alberta to remain part of Canada? Right? Yes or no? Only it's flipped. The question's just flipped the other way. This is so freaking stupid. I did not know that the language in that petition, because of course I'm here in Ontario, so nobody ever asked me to sign it. I didn't know that the language was so poorly written that it was able to trigger this, but I've highlighted the fact that some people have been saying online that it would do just this, which is happening tonight. Some people are up in arms about it, especially a lot of the people, a large number of the 400,000 plus Albertans who signed the Forever Canadian petition, because their intent was clearly to prevent a referendum on the question of separation. That's what they were trying to prevent. But they signed this petition, and they're getting the opposite result, which is what they were opposed to, because the committee so yeah, the news release that went out yesterday, they clawed it back. They didn't end up releasing it because there was no resolution on this yesterday. So another meeting held today. The discussion continued. And then, yes, they did. They proceeded and they've approved. They've approved the Forever Canadian petition question. Again, you can't make it up. So the people who are trying to prevent it are going to get exactly what they didn't want, because the premier is saying that they need to be, well, because the UCP committee, not the premier directly. But I think this is from today. I haven't heard this clip. I've been busy queuing things up. She may address it here. She's going to have an address live. Well, actually, it's a recorded address, live to tape, at 8:45 p.m. our time, Eastern. And we will do our best to bring that to you live right here. Although I have to tell you this. Well, I'll get into the money thing in a moment. Let's go to Danielle Smith, to this clip where I think she was speaking in Calgary today and was asked a question in one way or another about all of this. So let's cue her up and let the premier speak. Go, Danielle.
There was a deep and irrational hostility that we experienced from our federal government. But Alberta refused to back down, and today the picture has shifted dramatically.
Yeah,
there
no
was
kidding.
a deep and irrational hostility that we experienced from our federal government.
Yeah.
But Alberta refused to back down. The picture has shifted dramatically.
Yeah, I guess it has, hasn't it? Because we're going to go have a referendum, apparently. And that is what she is supposed to address tonight in this address to the people of Alberta. And it's going to be seen across Kanakistan tonight. My God. So here I have the whole session from today, this committee meeting, queued up, but I'm going to play some highlights here as we go along. And if you want me to go to the phones, you let me know in the chat, and I can open them up. Otherwise, I'm going to keep on rambling here. This is if it wasn't so serious, it would be funny, but it is definitely comical. Definitely comical. Okay, let's NDP, which is the official opposition in Alberta. They're fit to be tied.
Here today that have disdain for the process are the government members. The only things we've heard from them today is that they see this committee as stalling and holding up what they really want to do. So let's be clear. The Premier wants a referendum on separation. Her question was stalled by the courts, and she's using this committee to legitimize her desire to have a question on a referendum.
It's true. The
Premier cannot hide behind this committee. She cannot hide behind the 400,000 Albertans.
But she will. She is. That's exactly what she's doing. And she's saying, we have to honor the rights of the people and and what the people who signed the petitions. No, she's looking out for the separatist side. At this point, this is unfreaking deniable. It's undeniable. Okay, stop denying it. It's undeniable. You can't deny it anymore. She's a separatist, or at least she's controlled by the separatists. In fact, here, just as part of what happened yesterday, the separatists who do basically control her, they were threatening to oust her. That's what the thumbnail on tonight's broadcast is all about. A revolt within the United Conservative Party of Alberta, because the separatists who basically have taken control of the party, people like Jeffrey Rath and David Parker and all the others from the Alberta Prosperity Project, who are within the UCP now, and they've kind of taken it over, and they installed Danielle Smith as their leader and now premier. If it wasn't for them, she wouldn't have the job. So she's beholden to them. And then yesterday, what's going on? Because of all the chaos in the committee meeting and because of the court ruling quashing the separatist petition as unconstitutional because there wasn't proper consultation with First Nations, Jeffrey Rath was promising to bring down then a hammer on Danielle Smith, saying if she doesn't give us what we want, a referendum, she's out of here. We're gonna turf Danielle, get rid of her. And so this was making headlines late yesterday, all through the day today. A prominent Alberta separatist calls for a coup against Danielle Smith. There's the guy with the great big cowboy hat. That's Jeffrey Rath. Over the weekend, leading up to our national celebration of Victorian rectitude, imperialism and class inequality, prominent Alberta separatist Jeffrey Rath took to the internet appearing to advocate an internal United Conservative Party coup to remove Premier Danielle Smith. Her sin, in Rath's estimation, is that she's been working too closely with Liberal Prime Minister Mark Carney. Yeah, trying to get a pipeline built, which is supposed to be what you want, but that just ain't enough, is it? No, it's not. You don't really want the pipeline built, do you there, Jeffrey? Not really. Why is that? Because if you don't get the pipeline built, then what? Then I don't even know which side I'm talking to anymore because it's total chaos. Because if you don't get the pipeline built, then you can still complain and whine and say you got to separate. Her sin, in Rath's estimation, she's been working too hard, too close with Mark Carney and playing both sides of Independence Avenue in her efforts to keep the party's fraying coalition of outright separatists and traditional Canadian conservatives in one piece. His solution, the separatist cadre, who now clearly control the UCP, but not quite yet either the government caucus or the provincial government, should dump her and replace her with a more ideologically acceptable leader and declare the party to be a separatist entity in the manner of the Parti Québécois, which would be a more proper thing, honestly, because that would just be more honest and transparent. And then people could actually acknowledge and deal with what is before them. He goes on, arguably, this could either be a sign of Smith's increasing strength thanks to her latest deal with Carney, or of the Separatists' increasing strength as the holders of most of the internal power positions in the UCP party bureaucracy, or perhaps a bit of both. In any event, it wasn't looking too good there for Danielle just a few hours ago, overnight. But my, oh my, how political fortunes shift and change so dramatically, so quickly in this country. The more chaotic things get, I don't even know where that goes. The more chaotic they get, the more chaotic they get, apparently, because I don't know how much more chaotic it can get. I couldn't even figure out what the hell they had decided after today's committee meeting. But it was enough to get, what's her name? Oh, what's her name? Raki Pancholi. She's an NDP MLA, New Democrat. She was spitting fire, I'll tell you. We ran a clip from her yesterday. Very articulate. And yeah, man, I think she's got a point. This, for me, isn't a left-right NDP conservative issue. This is a, what the hell is going to happen to Canada issue. And I don't think party politics really should be the primary focus here. But here she is on the NDP side of the House.
It is quite clear that this motion that's on the table right now has nothing to do with listening to the 400,000 people who signed the petition. This motion is on the floor right now because the government needs cover. They need a justification to fulfill the promise that the Premier made to her Separatist friends who got her elected as leader of the UCP. And that promise was a referendum. And when they couldn't get the question that they wanted on the floor because of the courts, because of the Constitution and the duty to consult, that is when this government suddenly cares. It is quite clear that this motion that's...
Yeah. That's true. Basically, that's it. It's like they're using every trick they can come up with, every excuse. See, they didn't need to do this. They did not need to. They chose to. At the committee, the UCP members, the United Conservative Party members, they outnumber the NDP members who are on the committee. So they have the majority. They can kind of do what they want. And that's the point. They can do what they want at this point. So they voted in favor of putting the other question on the ballot. But then there's all this confusion, see, that's erupted around it because Thomas Lukasik, the former deputy premier, he's been saying, no, that's not what our intent was. We don't want a referendum. We don't want this question on a ballot in October. The whole point of this thing is to give the premier an off-ramp so that they can, avoid going down this path and we can just stop this train wreck before it runs off the tracks. That ain't what happened. No. See, what they did is they looked at the letter, the exact wording of the petition, and they're using that to get what the Separatists want. So they're using the Forever Canadian petition to give the other side what they want and not give this. I can't make it up. I'll show you exactly what was said, how it was said, why it was, and why all this has triggered what it has triggered. But here's Thomas Lukasik of the Forever Canadian movement. This is not from today. I believe this is from yesterday. And he is here explaining what he says the true intent of the petition was and always has been. And it's not to trigger a referendum.
We had members of the UCP party and the NDP party and the former Reform Party and Liberal Party all working together to keep this province within Canada and to counter any potential threat that at that time was an existential threat that the separatist question would go forward. This was a very coalescing moment, very community building moment. This was a moment where after a rather divisive period following COVID and convoys and other things, where again, neighbors were not always talking to neighbors. This brought them together. So it was a very unifying process. And the only goal of Forever Canadian and the petition gathering process was to avert the danger of having a binding referendum that will spark a process that could possibly lead to Alberta separation, but also to sideline the economic damage that this already is causing to our province. You know, Ms. Nancy Southern, the CEO of ATCO will tell you that. All major chambers of commerce will tell you that. So it was to minimize any negative impact on Alberta economy as well.
I'm laughing, but I'm crying. This is, it's flipping ridiculous. See, here's the problem. Here's the wording. Thomas Lukasik, maybe not the sharpest knife in the drawer after all. See, here's the wording in the petition that is the problem. This is the exact wording. Maybe not the true intent, but this is what it says. Therefore, we, as represented by the signatory and applicant below, propose a referendum on the following question. Do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? And it's right there. It says, propose a referendum. So they're proposing a referendum. I guess they must have written it that way initially, thinking that their petition would trigger their question to be on the ballot alongside the other question. I don't know what they were thinking, but this clearly is not well thought out. Because now you're getting, this does the same basic thing as the Separatist petition does. Now, this raises other interesting questions, though, doesn't it? I think so. If the other side needed to consult with First Nations before proceeding, does this side have to proceed with consultation before this question is placed on the ballot? Does the government need to consult now with First Nations? Should they have consulted on that question? But you see, this question is about keeping things status quo. So if you keep things status quo, that means there is no impact on First Nations. Of course, if people vote the other way against it, that doesn't necessarily mean that it triggers a constitutional crisis or automatic separation, not by a long shot. It certainly doesn't take it as far as the other question answered in favor of separation would have taken it. But now it muddies the waters even more. Why does the one side have to consult, but not the other side with a question like that, asking basically for the same thing, for a referendum? I would say that, yeah, there needs to be consultation with First Nations because it's basically the same thing. And so First Nations now may come back and sue again. We may have another legal challenge, and I would expect that the result would end up being the same. So both petitions would end up being quashed, but I'm not sure that can even happen at this point because regardless of the court decision, it's my understanding the government, the Premier, has the power to use, I think, the notwithstanding clause, if I'm not mistaken, to force the referendum anyway, which clearly is what's going on here. And I think it is disingenuous of the government to sit there tonight, for the Premier to sit there and claim, or the UCP members who made this happen, to sit there and claim that they're doing it to protect democracy, to protect people's rights, to protect the will of the Albertans who signed the petition, because clearly this is not what they wanted. In fact, I'll put it to you that if the people signing this petition had read it carefully enough. If it had been explained to them in this way, I don't think many, if any of them, would have signed the petition at all. And so for the government to push ahead with this, it is actually mocking all of the people, the 400,000 plus Albertans who signed this petition. It's like they're laughing at them. Maybe justifiably so. Don't you read a contract before you sign it? Don't you make sure you understand it? You should always read a petition thoroughly before you sign it. You should read everything thoroughly before you sign it. 400,000 plus people just proved that most people don't really look at and read documents, contracts before they sign them. Oh, there's a lesson to be learned.
We are the Mavericks. Welcome to the Matrix, baby. Hope you like the view. We are the Mavericks. The world is watching. We are the Mavericks.
It is, it's sad. This isn't democracy. This doesn't lead to freedom. This is, again, as I said the other night, this is tyranny of the minority. That's exactly what this is. This is, and when I say tyranny of the minority, I mean you have a core group of people in Alberta who, through this system and through this political and legal maneuvering, have managed to assert their will, their wishes onto a system, not really through democratic means at all. It's an end run around the democratic system, and the system has allowed them to do it in the interest of preserving freedom, but in so doing, they are actually a tail wagging a dog, because their actions, their wishes are having a direct impact on the entire country, not just Alberta, the entire country and the entire province of Alberta, including what appears to be, at this point anyway, a majority of Albertans who don't want what they want. And the chaos and confusion, I'm not sure what impact that ultimately will have when the question goes to a referendum, and it's pretty clear at this point that that's going to happen, regardless of, well, I don't know. Maybe there will be another court challenge. It's very, very hard to say where it's going to go. I would just say that there seems to be a very strong political will in play here to make this referendum happen, come hell or high water. I don't know if it's because Danielle Smith is trying to save her political bacon, or if it's because she really wants the country to separate, or maybe she just wants to put it all to rest. I don't know. I don't know, man. Just, I think it's ridiculous. I think it is. I think it makes a mockery of democracy. Again, because it's a choice, right? The government knows that the people who signed that petition, these conservative MLAs, they know that the people who signed that Forever Canadian petition don't want a referendum. They want the opposite. That they're backing and supporting the Separatists. They're turning that petition against the people who signed it, the Forever Canadian Unity side. They're turning it against them, using it against them in exactly the opposite way than they intended. That's gross. And I think that they are laughing about it. And that's disgusting. Because they're sore losers. And they won't give up, no matter what. Let's get this clip from the CBC. I don't know what they're saying here, but I think they're highlighting the chaos, or I think what they're using here is the word madness.
Danielle Smith is about to be the first Federalist Premier in Canada to put a separatism question on a ballot and then campaign to stay, it would appear, is where this is going to go today. What do you make of the dynamic we're seeing here with the Premier of Alberta?
Madness.
Okay.
Total madness. Here you have a Premier who has been saying loudly since she was elected, and even before she was elected, that we need pipelines, we need natural gas pipelines, we need oil pipelines, we need to get our product to market, and we need foreign investors to come in here to Alberta to invest in them. What is she doing? She wants to hold a referendum so that foreign investors will say, you know what, I think I'll wait before I put any money in here because, you know, capital does not like disruption. They do not like uncertainty. And now she's created uncertainty. I mean, I'm sure the Prime Minister privately must be pulling out his hair out of his head, like, what is going on with this? You know, look, I have great faith in Albertans. They're patriotic people. They're not going to vote to separate from Canada. There's a group of about 20% who are MAGA separatists, I guess, independentists, and they're the ones that she's playing footsie with, which is crazy. I mean, she should be telling these people, go and form your own separatist party, run an election. If you get elected, you can put a referendum. But why is she aiding and abetting this? It's madness.
So,
yeah, it is. It is absolutely madness. And, you know, they're talking about the cost to Alberta in terms of investment. It's costing taxpayers just upfront money. All of this stuff, including tonight's televised address by Danielle Smith to Alberta and all of Canada. She is buying airtime on the television networks to do it. It's paid programming time. It's like infomercial time. The networks don't just provide this to the Premier free of charge. She's made the choice to do this, and so she's paying CTV, Global, CBC. There might be another one or two, but all the major networks in Canada to carry this thing tonight, which will happen in about 1 hour's time, and we'll have it live here. I can tell you, she's not paying us. No UCP government money flowing this way, but we'll pick up the feed, the online feed, but they're paying the major networks to make sure that it reaches or is capable of reaching the vast majority, if not all, Alberta households tonight. What's the cost? I think it was back 20. I don't know what year it was. I think there have been premiers who've done it before at a cost of around, at least once, probably several times. Don't live in Alberta, so I can't say for sure. I think the last time it was done, it was around $80,000 of taxpayers' money, but I think that was back in 2015. And so today, I would think at least 100,000 or more. No firm figure coming out on that yet. Some criticism directed at the Premier for doing it and spending the taxpayers' money this way. But we'll find out in due course. Eventually, the figure will come out as there is disclosure on these kinds of government expenses. Isn't it weird? It's Weirdsville. Never seen anything quite like this. What a circus, man. Okay, here's Jen Gerson over on CBC. Again, another CBC clip. Oh, I don't trust those guys. The state broadcaster, it's all government money. Yeah, it's government money going to bring you Danielle Smith tonight, too, on this network and others. Here we go.
We're expecting to hear, well, we will hear from Danielle Smith. She's expecting to address, we think, the referendum question. Is that what you think? What are you watching for in her remarks?
Well, look, I'm going to start with a caveat in that this is Alberta. Literally anything can happen in the next 7 hours. Almost nothing would surprise me. But the rumor is that at present that the plan here is to put some form of a succession question on the ballot in October, and that's what she's planning to announce. Whether or not she actually announces that by 7 o'clock this time, I don't know. But that's the current rumor. If that's the case, then effectively what's happening is that we are sleepwalking into a very serious, catastrophic, self-inflicted, and idiotic political crisis of our own making.
No kidding.
I mean, hold back there, Jen. No, I know, and we're expecting to hear.
Oh, there she is.
Referendum question. Is that what you...
As my understanding is, it's still an hour away. Let me take a little break here, though, and we'll come back. I just want to make sure we're not missing it. The time I had was 8:45 Eastern, which is 1 hour from now. But just in case the time was incorrect that was given to me, I'm going to check now to make sure, just make sure that we don't miss the big show.
Maverick News. Expose lies and tell truth. The world is watching.
Of course, well, we're all fixated on this. Well, we're all looking this way. I'm looking for it. We're not thinking about this.
And also Donald Trump. Coincidence? Just dumb luck. Right? Another sealed file. That crocodile smile. We did our best, says the DA.
Pierre Poilievre, conservative leader, who had to leave Ontario because with his tail between his legs because he lost his own riding in the last election because of a pretty aggressive campaign against him by the Liberals in that riding, went out to Alberta to a safe riding. Now he's elected again, has a seat back in Parliament. He's doing his thing. He's back in the saddle as leader tonight, saying that he will campaign to keep Alberta united with the rest of the country.
Hi, Leanne Young from CBC. So do you think Premier Danielle Smith should call a referendum on Alberta's place in Canada? And in that vein, as an Alberta MP, what action will you try to take to keep Alberta within Canada in the face of a referendum?
So I'm a strong Canadian federalist, a proud Albertan, and a proud Canadian. I want a strong Alberta within a united Canada. And all conservatives will be campaigning for Canadian unity in Alberta, and potentially, we hope not, but potentially in Quebec as well if the Separatists win there. We believe that Alberta deserves a fair deal in this country, which means that we unblock the resources, we allow the oil and gas sector to grow, we get the federal government off the backs and out of the way of Alberta workers and small businesses so the province can prosper, reverse the gun grab and other unnecessary federal Liberal irritants, but all for the purpose of making our country more united, more affordable, and more strong. It is the job of the Prime Minister of Canada to unite the country. And as Prime Minister in waiting, I will begin that work myself. I will be campaigning across the province of Alberta, encouraging Albertans to stay as part of the Canadian family and encouraging nationwide unity for all Canadians.
Well, that seems fairly clear. Although I don't know if the language is much different than Danielle Smith, who keeps comblastulating with the I want a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. Whatever that means. I don't know. But it sounds, based on this promo that I saw for the first time today, that Danielle Smith has all of Alberta's problems pretty much solved.
In Alberta, we've always been leaders. While Canada lost jobs last year, Alberta gained over 100,000 new jobs. And wages are higher here than anywhere in the country. AI data centers are being built, while major tech companies are setting up offices in our cities. And we're producing more oil than just a couple of years ago. Smart policy, low taxes, and the hard work of every Albertan is why our province continues to lead. In Alberta, we just call it getting the job done.
Danielle Smith and the UCP, getting the job done.
Well, no problem. What do you need a referendum for? Everything's solved. This is the other weird thing about Alberta politics right now. I listen to her make speeches, and one day it's like, we've solved all the problems. You don't like LGBTQS plus blah, blah, blah. Rights? We did away with all of that. You don't like the gun grab? We told the federal government to go stick it where the sun don't shine. We got our own copperoonies out here, and we're going to tell them feds, back off, big guy. Get the hell out of our province. If you try to do anything, we'll arrest your ass because we're Alberta strong. Like, I just don't know, man. She's says stuff like that. Like the other day, I watched her sit there and just list down, like point form, every grievance that I hear from the Separatists. And she had claimed to have solved them all. But then I turn around and I'm looking at her over on some other podium, and she's like, well, we're getting a raw deal from Ottawa and we're just treated so badly. It's just awful. It sounds just like Donald Trump. Everybody's taking advantage of the poor president victim. It's mind racking. I just have difficulty wrapping my head around the circus. What else can I say, man? That's where we're at tonight at, just a little before 8. And yeah, I do have, I think the feed lined up here. It hasn't started yet. Won't start for about another half hour or so. So We've got it dialed in. We'll be ready to go live with it. Now, here in Canada, of course, we have our own way of doing things. And one of the things that is a thing of difference, especially compared to what goes on down in the States, is the way we do our broadcasting in the face of an ongoing, never-ending, relentless onslaught of American propaganda, I mean media, through the television airwaves and online. And tonight we're seeing that the CRTC, the Canadian Radio Telecommunications Commission, says streamers must pay 3 times as much for Canadian content. So what's that mean? It means that streaming services like Netflix and Disney Plus have been charged a 5% fee on their revenue. And now they're going to have to pay 3 times as much, or 15%, basically a tax on them, to broadcast here into Canada, across Canada, on cable systems essentially, and via satellite. The goal here is to modernize the Broadcasting Act and build a $2 billion fund so that they can then take that money to support Canadian and Indigenous content production. It's something that has commonly been done in the country. It's good and it's bad. It's good because it does create a fund that can be used to create content, especially in hard to serve or underserved areas of the country where stories might otherwise not be told. It does help to unify the country and give people a sense of Canadian identity. It helps us share and develop some sort of a shared Canadian cultural unity, I guess, commonality, reference point, whatever it is in Canada. It's certainly distinct. It is not American, and I think that's something that's often said too. It just kind of slipped out, but that's the way a lot of Canadians describe Canadian culture is, well, we're not American. True, we are not. The bad side is that it's regulatory, it's somewhat punitive, it's coercive, it also gives the government a lot of control over what kind of content is produced. And I can speak to that directly because I have lived it as an independent broadcaster myself over the years. And these funds are made available basically to content producers who produce the kind of content that the government wants produced. And a lot of that would be like Indigenous focused content, and I would say progressive content for sure. If you make stuff on the other side, it's much more difficult if you're on the other side of the political aisle to get your stuff produced. Although if you got a conservative government elected again, and eventually that will happen, even that is open to change. The problem with the conservatives, though, on that front, maybe it's not a problem, but they tend to come in and just cut the funding. Say, we don't want that anymore, just get rid of it. And then they blow it up and there's nothing left, no money for anybody. And then everybody's unemployed in the area of broadcasting and video content production and film, in the areas where it's really difficult to cultivate an audience because of small populations, local stories, even local news coverage. Anyway, I'm well versed in that area. I know what it's all about, but that's the reality here. That's also why I went to the States eventually and started to syndicate over there, because it was just a lot easier. There were fewer regulatory hurdles, but that's another story for another day. Let me take another short break while I continue to get things kind of queued up, keyed up, ramped up, hyped up for Danielle Smith's big blockbuster announcement coming up in about half an hour, 45 minutes.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out. of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I guess we have a little bit of time here, so I can start digging into some of the other news stories from today. One thing that I took note of, just because of my interest in automotive journalism and the auto industry in general, which we should all be focused on, especially here in Ontario, because so much relies on the auto industry. It's such a big part of the economy here. The Stellantis today issuing this news release about a $60 billion strategic plan to accelerate growth and profit. So they sent it to me because I'm on the media list. And I'll share it with you here now. And so this, it doesn't mention really the Canadian operation specifically, but of course Stellantis is the company that basically owns Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, this coming out of Amsterdam, because like I keep telling people, the auto industry today is, it's global in scope. All of these companies are multinational corporations, which means they have, interests, assets, factories, operations all over the world. So Stellantis issuing this from their head office, Amsterdam. Stellantis today unveils Fastlane 2030, its $60 billion 5-year strategic plan to accelerate growth and profit. At the morning session of Investor Day at the company's North America headquarters in Auburn Hills, Michigan, Stellantis leadership sets out the 6 core pillars of its strategy moving forward. These build on the company's priority to put the customer at the center and on the discipline to allocate capital where regions and brands can generate best returns. The pillars of Fastlane 2030 are sharper management of unparalleled brand portfolio. That means they're going to sharpen their pencils and see where they can cut costs. Investment in global platforms, powertrains, and technology. They know the industry is changing. They know the technology is changing. They're going to invest in the development of new engines or electric hybrid motors and other related technology because they need to in order to remain competitive moving into the future. Partnerships complementing Stellantis's core strengths. So probably internal company cross-brand partnerships, I expect, and possibly even cross-brand or outside brands coming in to collaborate. We've seen that many times in the past, like General Motors, Suzuki, Mitsubishi, Chrysler, companies that, would normally be competing, but sometimes collaborating with things, Toyota and BMW with their sports car initiative. Manufacturing footprint optimization. Make the most of the space that they have. Excellence in execution. That means they just got to be like, excellent. Empowerment of regions and local teams. A little bit of decentralization of decision making, I guess. So they're focusing really on, their strongest brands, right? Essentially pumping money into the ones that sell the best. Things like Jeep, Ram, because trucks in North America, that's what sells. It's not cars. It's the Ford F-150, the Chevy Silverado, the big gas guzzling pickup trucks. That's what sells in North America. And that's where the profit is for the automakers on the American side. Cars, not so much. Peugeot and Fiat, the other two brands that Stellantis makes money with. Those are sort of European-centric, right? But those brands also sold in North America. And it's interesting when I'm reading this They just refer to the North American market. They don't specifically single out Canada. And of course, they've got the Brampton facility for the manufacturing things there, and that's kind of been paused, right? So that's all in limbo because of Donald Trump's tariffs and everything going on with that. The company's 5 regional brands, Chrysler, which I think they only have like one model left that they even produce, Dodge, which again is basically trucks at this point, but they've also got the Charger, Challenger, Citroen, Opel, Alfa Romeo. Each are very strong in their respective markets and will benefit from these same global assets and increase brand distinctiveness to delight their customers. Just highlight this because Canada has so much riding on the industry and on that Brampton plant. And they're talking about bringing, what was it? Well, it's a Chinese brand, right, into that factory as part of the 49,000 vehicles allocated for importation into Canada under the Carney-Xi Jinping trade deal. And the vehicles coming in would undergo not full assembly, but partial reassembly on the Canadian side in that factory. So that would create at least a few jobs, some jobs. But that just shows again that Chinese brand is owned by Stellantis, and they're looking at putting a Chinese vehicle in there, but it's still the same parent company. It's just that, well, the Chinese brand that they are partial owner of, they don't actually own the majority share in it. I think it's 40% or something like that. It's not a majority share. So it's still technically, I guess, in the minds of some people, Chinese, but it's still Stellantis, the company that owns Chrysler, but it gets a little bit complicated. It's very chaotic. It might as well be out in Alberta for that matter. Partnerships complementing Stellantis' core strengths and blah, blah, blah. You got the picture, right? They're reorienting, trimming back, trying to focus on where they need to put the money and get the biggest bang for their buck. Says in North America, the company targets 25% revenue growth and an AOI margin of 8 to 10%, focusing on expanded market coverage by 50% with 11 all-new vehicles and 35% more volume, boosting offering with 7 new products under the $40,000 range and 2 under $30,000. That's competitive, improving cost competitiveness through the value creation program. Of course, those would be U.S. prices. Going to pay just a wee bit more up here in Canuckstan because our dollar ain't worth spit. Never has been, never will be. Well, it's sort of worth something. Like 80 cents on the dollar. I don't know what. Well, let me check that. I don't even know what the Canadian dollar trades for right now. What is the exchange rate? Canadian dollar to USD, 73 cents. 73 cents today. I ain't making it up. There it is. Canada always, though. Well, not always, but 99% of the time, we adjust our interest rates and position ourselves to have a dollar that is less valued than the US dollar. It's done for reasons of trade. It makes our exports more affordable. It's sort of like a self-imposed tariff that we pay in order to make our resources and the products we produce more attractive to U.S. customers, either consumers or businesses bringing product into the U.S. to add value to the production chain. It's what we do. We manipulate the currency in order to make the stuff we produce more affordable and attractive to other countries, especially the United States. All that's a changing, though, whether we like it or not. And I know some people are like, oh, it's all Carney's fault. No, it's Donald Trump's fault. Well, or at least it's because of him. Maybe some people like it. I think over on the U.S. side, that's the case. I saw a story here, too. In fact, maybe I can find it. That bridge, the Gordie Howe Bridge. The Windsor mayor, Drew Dilkins, is saying keep the bridge closed if can't get a good trade deal. He's saying you can't get a good deal, just leave the damn thing closed, because Trump is saying it ain't going to open until we get a better deal. It was all set to open. They had the whole thing done. Canada paid for the bridge. And then Trump comes along doing the bidding of a big Republican Party donor, the Maroon family, which owns Ambassador Bridge, competing bridge, and changes his tune suddenly, along with Howard Lutnick. And he says, now it's a crappy deal. It was a good deal before. Now it's a super duper crappy deal. Keep it closed. Windsor Mayor doesn't want Canada to accept bad trade deal just to open the Gordie Howe Bridge. Let's listen in on the CTV Windsor broadcast with Stephanie Mazzotti. Come on, open up.
Trade deal. The project is being pulled into a much larger cross-border negotiation between Canada and the United States.
Here we go.
Tonight, Windsor's mayor says he doesn't want the Gordie Howe International Bridge rushed into opening if it means Canada ends up with a weaker trade deal. He warns the project is being pulled into a much larger cross-border negotiation between Canada and the United States. CTV's Michelle Molesky explains.
As light testing continues on the Gordie Howe International Bridge, Windsor's mayor is worried decision makers will sacrifice the long game for the short-term opening of the city's second bridge.
We've fulfilled our end of the bargain, and now to weaponize this and to hold this bridge hostage is just a crying shame. But
the bridge opening has been tied to trade renegotiations with the Americans by a Canadian minister and the president himself.
if it means our country has to take a bad deal to satisfy the President of the United States, I would wait until there's a time when there's a good deal, because we do have lots of leverage in this country.
Dilkins hinted the city has survived with 2 crossings for a long time, and we can wait a little bit longer to make sure the new CUSMA deal helps Windsor in the long run.
There are a lot of bigger issues than whether we can drive a truck across that bridge. It's whether the stuff that's on that truck is going to get tariffed.
Flavio Volpe tells CTV News it's not just Canadians lobbying for a solid deal for auto.
2 weeks ago, every single auto association in the U.S., whether that's for cars, parts, or dealers, wrote to the White House and said, we need the USMCA.
Meantime, former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder says in addition to trade talks, Trump can delay the bridge opening in 2 other ways.
One is there is a presidential permit, and I don't know how revocable or not that may be. The other one is the staffing of the Customs Plaza. The Customs Plaza is built. It's an incredible facility, just as the Canadian one, but if there's no one working there, that would be a problem.
CBP officials did not respond to a request for information, while CBSA officials moved into the point of entry last fall. The new timeline for the bridge's opening is spring 2026, which ends in 33 days. Michelle Molesky, CTV News.
What do you think? Are we going to get a better deal? Going to get a good enough deal to open that bridge? Maverick News will be no more. What's that? Who's Surge 2920? I just happened to look in the chat, and apparently, I think maybe reports of my demise might be just a little premature. Maybe. What do you mean going to be no more? What are you talking about? Alberta strong. I don't know. Do you know something I don't, Serge? Sounds like please save us. I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. I can never make sense of these chats when I just dip in like that. I don't know what he's getting at. Hi, Arthur. Good evening, Sir Rick and Mavericks. Well, hello, we're back to you, Arthur. And Stoic Teacher, and Rosemary. New laws. No. That's not what it is, Serge. No. That's not what it is. You're talking about the CRTC program. That's just an additional tax on the super giant big broadcasting companies out of the US, Netflix and Disney Plus and the like. Specialty broadcasters beaming into Canada. And I think some of the Canadian channels too. Modernize the Broadcasting Act. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's, calm down. It's going to be okay. They do this from time to time. Yeah, it's going to be okay. Doesn't affect me at all. Hell, if I have to, I'll just get up on the roof and set the house on fire and send up smoke signals. They can't shut me up. Not that easy. Stay with me.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
I'm just scrolling through social media and I'm trying to make sense of the nonsensical, looking at what people are posting about all this madness out in Alberta land. Looks like we've got a clip from Carney. I think this is from today. I'm not sure. See, I can never tell what's real and what isn't. I just don't know. I'll listen to this clip and then maybe we can determine if indeed it is actually from today or not. This is Mark Carney apparently responding somehow to this whole Alberta independence mess as it stands at the moment. Could change again any moment.
Separatists say they have more than 300,000 signatures to potentially trigger a referendum.
This is old.
What will you do to stop that referendum from winning?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is there's, again, keeping with the discussion today, there's the rule of law, there's the Clarity Act, which has been opined upon by the Supreme Court. Not at the same time when Madame Orbor was sitting on the Supreme Court, but has been the judgment passed there, and any referenda in any part of Canada need to be consistent with that. As you know as well, there's a judicial, you may know, there's a judicial challenge separately but relatedly by Indigenous nations in Alberta regarding the question. So those processes have to be followed through. But if you bring it into, so I'm observing that because of the solemnity of the moment that we're observing today and celebrating today. But if you bring it into my day-to-day responsibilities and those of the government, it's to continue to act as we have from the start, which is in the spirit of cooperative federalism, making the country work, making it work for Albertans, making it work for Indigenous peoples, making it work for all Canadians. Thank you.
Yeah, that's old, but it does highlight something, and that is that it's all gone crazy. That it doesn't make any sense. It's like, what just happened? But yeah, they're going to use the Clarity Act, obviously, at the end of the exercise, if it even gets that far. The thing is, though, this question, as it is written, or will be written, is less clear than the question, I think, that would have been coming from the Separatist side. And so depending on how they vote, if they voted not to keep Canada inside together with Alberta, whatever, I think it would just be less clear right off the get-go. In fact, because it's pretty clear that the petition, the Forever Canadian petition, is being used against the wishes of the people who signed it, the vast majority of them, that if you got a result on the referendum that called for having Alberta break away, it would further muddy the waters, and it could be argued legally that the referendum itself is not clear because the petition that triggered the referendum never offered any kind of clarity to begin with, and in fact has been used, in my view, potentially illegitimately, using the exact wording in the petition as part of it and ignoring the option that apparently the Forever Canadian group would prefer to have been used, which would be for no referendum to happen at all. So that's not clear. It's not clear from the beginning. It's not, what a mess. You see how this in court, if this comes down to a question of clarity or constitutionality, this gets to be even messier. And it will also just ramp up emotions more, fuel more division. The separatists will say that, cry. It's just unbelievable. I don't think that Danielle Smith honestly has handled this responsibly, hasn't handled it well. And I think what they've done with this petition is, I don't know what the word is. Give me a word. Somebody give me a word. And don't say awesome. 1272B51. Don't you dare say awesome. He's going to do it. I know it. That's awesome. Canadian Peaceman. Yeah, the globalist-backed separatist plan is in full swing. Certainly appears to be. Sharon, is Danielle Smith a Canadian or a paid separatist? At this point, I'd say she is absolutely beholden to the separatists, and she is being completely disingenuous. She's not being honest. She's helping them. She's been changing the rules every step of the way. Every step of the way. This is gross. It is disgusting, in my humble Canuckistanian opinion. Why do you call it Canuckistan? I'm joking around, that's why. Okay, we're getting close to the big shoe. Anybody remember the Ed Sullivan shoe? It's a really big shoe. No, it just shows how old I am. Kyle Busch, the two-time NASCAR champ, has passed away, only 41. Unexpected. When I first saw the headline earlier today, I thought, what happened? Was he in a crash? No, it looks like it's the result of some illness. Here, I'll show you the headline over on NBC. If you're a big NASCAR fan, if you're into redneck racing in the roundy rounds, you'll know who Kyle Busch is. Two-time NASCAR champ dies at 41 after illness. Says, quote, "We are saddened and heartbroken to share the news of the passing of Kyle Busch," NASCAR said on X, remembering him as one of our sport's greatest and fiercest drivers. We extend our deepest condolences to the Busch family, Richard Childress Racing, and the entire motorsports community, NASCAR said. He'd been hospitalized with a severe illness. They did not disclose what the illness was. This comes 11 days after Busch radioed into his crew near the end of a Cup Series race at Watkins Glen, New York, asking a doctor to give him a shot after he finished the race. According to the TV broadcast, Bush had been struggling with a sinus cold that was worsened by the intense G-forces and elevation changes of the road course. He finished 8th in that race. Ranked 24th in the Cup Series standings with 2 top 10 finishes in 12 races this season. The Las Vegas native, Bush won championships in 2015 and 2019. Yeah, only 41 years old, way too soon. So that's a big loss to the racing community and America. What time we got? Coming up on the bottom of the hour, so we're very close now to Danielle Smith's big announcement. All right, let me again do this, and we'll be right back on the other side.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Yeah, the Separatists, I don't know what they're, I don't know. Are they like celebrating? Are they upset because it's not their question? Are they still going to have a revolt against Danielle Smith if she doesn't say the right thing tonight? I don't know. I know this. They're posting again online, Donald Trump talking about making Canada the 51st state. I'm going to play this clip of the Trumpster. He talks about it here, but again, I don't know if it's new or old. They keep recycling clips and trying to make us all think that it's a brand new clip. Maybe he said it again today. I know he's been ramping up the rhetoric again.
No, I'm not. Look, we've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. No, I'm not going to bend at all on aluminum or steel or cars. We're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years. We've been subjected to costs that we shouldn't be subjected to. In the case of Canada, we're spending $200 billion a year to subsidize Canada. I love Canada. I love the people of Canada. I have many friends in Canada. The great one, Wayne Gretzky, the great. Hey, how good is Wayne Gretzky?
You're going to be even greater because he's going to be a lot skinnier because you're going to... Oh, no, he lives in the States now, so it'll only be us remaining Canuckistanians he's going to try to starve to death.
He's the great one. But we have... I know many people from Canada that are good friends of mine. But, you know, the United States can't subsidize a country for $200 billion a year. We don't need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber. We don't need anything that they give. We do it because we want to be helpful, but it comes a point when you just can't do that. You have to run your own country. And to be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anyway. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. Just a straight artificial line. Somebody did it a long time ago, many, many decades ago, and makes no sense. It's so perfect as a great and cherished state. Keeping "O Canada," the national anthem. I love it. I think it's great. Keep it. But it'll be for the state, one of our greatest states. Maybe our greatest state. But why should we subsidize another country for $200 billion? It costs us $200 billion a year. And again, we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need the cars. I'd much rather make the cars here. And there's not a thing that we need. Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long. But they need us. We really don't need them. And we have to do this. I'm sorry. We have to do this. Yes.
That was yesterday. We have to do this, he says. That sounds like he's doing it. You hearing what he's saying? It's not just him. It's all the social media influencers on that side. And I'm not going to run the clip because it's just so vile, honestly. I don't know if I run it, I'll probably get kicked off YouTube. Should I run this? Nick Fuentes? Nick Fuentes, after Iran, he says, we should invade Canada. When we go from country to country, kidnap their leaders, and take control of their oil and their regime, he says in this clip, that's kind of awesome. I think, he says, this is not me, okay, this is him, is I think we should do it more. The only problem is that I'm going to run the clip. This guy, I watched this, I laughed. It is so stupid and sick, and yet I'm sure that he means it.
Say, I like it. I like that. And I'm tired of pretending that I don't. I don't know.
Take it from the top.
I have to say, I like it. I like that. And I'm tired of pretending that I don't. I don't know about you guys. Here's the thing. I like that the United States is a powerful empire. That makes me feel good. I am a citizen of the most powerful empire in the world. So when we go from country to country and we kidnap their leaders and we take control of their oil and their regime, I don't know, that's kind of awesome. That's kind of what we do. Like, that's who we are. And that's what we've always done. And I think we should do it more. Here's the problem. Here's the only problem. The only issue is that Jews control America.
Okay. This guy is a sick puppy.
So they're making us do things that really are not in our best interest. That's the only problem with this. Imagine if instead of doing regime change in Iran, we were doing it in Canada. What if we invaded Canada and deported all the Indians? Would anyone have a problem? Seriously. People say, I'm a non-interventionist. I don't think we should mess with other countries' national sovereignty. Okay, here's a counterpoint. What if we kidnapped the Prime Minister of Canada, invaded, and then we deported 20 million Indians and Pakistanis? Would anyone have a problem? Are you telling me you would be in the streets saying, hands off Canada, let those Indians go, release them back into Toronto? Absolutely not. No, we would be cheering that on, and we would go there. I would sign up myself. And it would be totally asymmetrical. There'd be zero casualties. They would stand no chance. It wouldn't even be a fight. There'd be no risk of dying on our side. So I like that. I wish we would do more of that here. Canada, Greenland, Cuba, Venezuela, Mexico, Bolivia. So we'll talk about it. I think this is a great idea, and I absolutely support it.
Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like anything I've been warning you all about? Saying this right now? Is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence that Trump said what he said yesterday? You serious? All these countries being taken over by the United States? I'm trying to tell you. I don't want anything to do with that guy. I don't want to live in a country if people like that are in charge. I don't want to live under that. I don't want anybody to have to live under that. But not all Americans are like that. Not by a long shot. But I'll have to confess, he scares me.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I have the feed. They've gone live with a slate. So the broadcast with Alberta's Premier. I think she's coming up here. Wait a second. No, this is old. This isn't the right one. It's an old one. I'm just, looks like we're good to go here. Yeah, I think so. No, they haven't started the feed yet. That was an old feed that they were funneling through. So let me make sure I've got the, let me just run a little transition here. We'll come back in a moment. And hopefully Danielle Smith will be live with us. Don't go away. Be right back.
Maverick News. Expose lies and tell truth. The world is watching.
He's got a plan, it's bold and grand, taking over land, sea and sand. Canada's ours, Greenland's in the mix, the Panama Canal's just another fix. But Mars, oh Mars, you pesky red sphere, your spying drones are making it clear. It's a threat to Earth, a cosmic sin, but don't worry folks, he'll make Mars great again. MAGA Mars, you're the 53rd state. Under Trump, your future is great. With Elon Musk and the Space Force too, we're slapping tariffs on your Martian crew. Make Mars great, yeah, make Mars ours. Wave that flag on the red rock stars. We'll impose sanctions, taxes, and fines. Martian exports know they're crossing the line. The Martians cry foul, but Trump doesn't care. He'll build a space wall floating up there. Elon's on board with rockets ablaze. The stock market's loving this Martian craze. He says, trust me folks, I know the deal. Martian gold is ours, this plan is real. MAGA Mars, you're the 53rd state. Under Trump, your future is great. With Elon Musk and the Space Force too, we're slapping tariffs on your Martian crew. Make Mars great, yeah, make Mars ours. Wave that flag on the red rock stars. Yeah, Mars hotels with golf resorts, intergalactic trade reports, a MAGA dome where Martians bow. We've got the best Martians, Trump says now. Fake news claims the plan's absurd, but Trump tweets back, it's the final word. Martian drones not on my watch. Space Force ready to kick it up a notch. MAGA Mars, you're the 53rd state. Under Trump, your future is great. With Elon Musk and the Space Force too, we're slapping tariffs on your Martian crew. Make Mars great, yeah, make Mars ours. Wave that flag on the red rock stars. So buckle up for the Martian fight. Trump's taking over the Martian night. It's all for freedom, it's all for the win. Oh, say can you see, he'll make Mars great again. Make Mars great, yeah, make Mars ours. Wave that flag on the red rock stars. So buckle up for the Martian fight. Trump's taking over the Martian night. It's all for freedom, it's all for the win. Oh, say, can you see, he'll make Mars.
My fellow Albertans, tonight I wish to speak with you about the debate we are having in this province on the future of Alberta and Canada. Last week, an Alberta judge released a decision finding that the citizen initiative petition organized by the group Stay Free Alberta on the issue of Alberta separation is unconstitutional because in the judge's view, there was not adequate consultation done with the First Nations band about the potential effect of the petition on their treaty rights. This ruling fundamentally misinterprets the nature of the duty to consult, which was never meant to prevent citizens from making their voices heard through a democratic process. Now, I want to be clear. I support Alberta remaining in Canada. That is how I would vote on separation in a provincial referendum. It is also the position of my government and my caucus. However, despite my personal support for remaining in Canada, I am deeply troubled by an erroneous court decision that interferes with the democratic rights of hundreds of thousands of Albertans. Albertans who volunteered, prepared petitions, made their case to fellow citizens, and appear to have secured the required amount of signatures necessary under Alberta law to hold a provincial referendum. The fact is that between the Forever Canada petition requesting a referendum on Alberta remaining in Canada and the Stay Free Alberta petition requesting a referendum on leaving Canada, Approximately 700,000 Albertans have signed a petition requesting a vote on this issue. And I, as Premier, will not have a legal mistake by a single judge silence the voices of hundreds of thousands of Albertans. That's not the Alberta way. Alberta's future will be decided by Albertans, not the courts. Our government will therefore be appealing the decision to Alberta's Court of Appeal and, if necessary, the Supreme Court of Canada. But this process will take many months and possibly years before being addressed by those higher courts. In the meantime, under our legal system, this troubling court decision is binding law in Alberta until it is successfully appealed. This means that it is unlikely the courts will permit Elections Alberta to hold a binding provincial referendum on separation until this incorrect ruling is overturned or clarified. But there is another way to hear from Albertans while we wait for our legal appeal to be heard. That is why I'm announcing today that I will be requesting our government add an additional question to the October 19th referendum vote announced previously. The additional question will be, should Alberta remain a province of Canada? Or should the government of Alberta commence the legal process required under the Canadian Constitution to hold a binding provincial referendum on whether or not Alberta should separate from Canada? Because this proposed referendum question does not directly trigger separation, but if successful, would ask Alberta's government to commence the legal process necessary to hold a binding referendum on the matter, the recent court ruling would not be applicable, and the referendum question I outlined could proceed. This question will also ensure the 700,000 signatories to both the Forever Canada petition and the Stay Free Alberta petition are respected, and the will of Albertans is heard. Kicking the can down the road only prolongs a very emotional and important debate, and muzzling the voices of hundreds of thousands of Albertans wanting to be heard is unjustifiable in a free and democratic society. It's time to have a vote, understand the will of Albertans on this subject, and move on. Now, obviously, Alberta's first ever provincial vote on our province's future in Canada is of monumental importance. As such, I feel it is important to clearly state my personal position so Albertans know where I stand. I first want to assure Albertans that our government will respect the outcome and direction received on all of the referendum questions being voted on this October 19th. Our government has already launched the website, albertareferendum2026.ca, with a significant amount of background information on the immigration and constitutional questions previously announced, and I hope every Albertan will take the time to explore that website in detail. As to the specific issue of separation, I have repeatedly stated that the position of the UCP caucus and UCP government is to build a strong and sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. I have never deviated from that position, and I will not do so now. I will therefore be voting for Alberta to remain in Canada, while continuing to work each and every day to restore and strengthen provincial rights under the Canadian Constitution. The fact is, Canada was founded on this very principle. Canada is very different from the United States and many other Western democracies. For example, the United States centralizes the majority of power and decision-making in its federal government. In Canada, we chose a decentralized federation composed of very unique and diverse provinces left to govern themselves in almost all matters, with the main exceptions of national defense and international affairs. Over time, our federal government has sought to move towards a more centralized American-style system, with Ottawa attempting to take over many provincial areas of jurisdiction, using all manner of legislative, judicial, and financial leverage. I categorically reject Ottawa's attempts to do so and call on all provincial leaders and MPs to undo the extensive damage that centralization of power in Ottawa has done to our country economically and with respect to national unity. I am fiercely loyal to both Alberta and Canada, but I truly believe our country is so much stronger and more prosperous when we respect the rights of provinces and empower them to govern themselves with minimal federal interference. Albertans, not Ottawa. Quebecers, not Ottawa. And all the other provinces must each be empowered to control our own direction and destiny, whether it's energy policy, agricultural practices, policing, firearms ownership, or how to administer our social programs. The days of Ottawa dictating and interfering in provincial affairs must come to an end. The future economic success and unity of our country depends on it. When I was first elected Premier, I was very concerned that it would be almost impossible to restore provincial rights stolen from Alberta and other provinces by the Trudeau-Singh government in Ottawa. However, our government went to work anyway to see if we could. We have been relentless in making our voices heard, launching dozens of legal actions, appearing in hundreds of national interviews, bridge building with other premiers, and aggressively passing legislation, such as the Alberta Sovereignty Within a United Canada Act, to take back our provincial autonomy from the federal government. We ran extensive advertising campaigns against the destructive net zero electricity regulations, as well as the catastrophic oil and gas production cap, in order to persuade our fellow Canadians that Trudeau's anti-Alberta agenda was also anti-Canadian and was destroying the unity, energy, and economic future of our nation. A great majority of Albertans joined us in that fight, calling friends, relatives, and participating in social media to spread that message throughout the country. We made a lot of noise as a province. We fought hard and refused to accept the status quo. And the result? Well, my friends, we have started to win. Over the course of the last 2 years, the tide of national public opinion on resource development, provincial rights, energy policy, and a host of other issues began to turn. Our Alberta oil sands went from a national target to a national treasure. Pipelines went from impossible to a national imperative. Justin Trudeau's anti-Alberta, anti-energy policies became a national embarrassment, one of several, that ultimately cost him his prime ministership. The Leave It in the Ground NDP, led by Jagmeet Singh, was electorally annihilated. And the federal Liberals, led by their new leader, Prime Minister Mark Carney, adopted most of Alberta's positions on energy and resource development. In fact, the current Prime Minister has worked very constructively with our government to craft an Alberta-Ottawa Energy Agreement, or MOU, as it is often called. This has already attracted tens of billions of dollars in investment for new pipelines, natural gas-run data centers, electricity generation, and so much more. Under that energy agreement with Ottawa, the destructive federal electricity regulations are gone. The economically disastrous oil and gas production cap has been scrapped. New pipelines carrying nearly 1 million barrels of Alberta oil to the United States are proceeding with speed toward construction. And a new 1 million barrel a day pipeline to the BC West Coast is well in progress and on track to have its permitting completed by September of next year. Could and should these reforms and projects move faster? Yes, of course they should. The federal government can and needs to act with even more urgency than it has. Do we in Alberta still have our differences with the federal Liberal government? Obviously. And make no mistake, we will relentlessly challenge them to respect our provincial rights and jurisdiction every time they step over the line. But my fellow Albertans, there can be no doubt that things are a world of difference better for our province than they were under the Trudeau NDP government. Both major federal parties, the federal Conservatives and now the federal Liberals, representing 85% of voters in Canada, are advocating for Alberta to increase our energy production and exports. Only some extremists in the NDP, Bloc Québécois, and Green parties, representing less than 15% of voters in Canada, hold fast to their anti-Alberta, leave-it-in-the-ground rhetoric. This complete turning of Canadian government policy and national public opinion was unthinkable just a few short years ago. No one thought it was possible, except here, in Alberta. We turned the tide. We are winning hearts and minds to our cause right across the country, as many of our fellow Canadians are coming to understand that a strong Alberta and strong provinces means a stronger and more prosperous Canada. Now, to those hundreds of thousands of Albertans who are still not convinced or are unsatisfied with the pace of change and believe that separation is the answer, I want you to know that I empathize with you and I understand why you feel that way. You are justifiably frustrated and angry with Ottawa. You are proud and loyal Albertans that have watched our province be taken advantage of repeatedly over past decades, and you want it to stop. So do I, more than anything. Like you, I love this province and our people so much. I am so proud to be Albertan. But I ask you to please consider joining me to vote for Alberta to remain in Canada and not give up on our beautiful country just as we're gaining respect and the tide has turned in our favor. Not when our fellow Canadians, even those that may support different political parties, are nonetheless supporting Alberta's vision for a prosperous, energy-rich nation with strong provinces building a Canada we can be proud of again. In my view, now is not the time to give up hope in our country, not when we have fought so hard for so long and come so far. I believe Canada can still work. I believe it's working better every day, and it can work even better in the future if we keep fighting together for it. Together with our fellow Canadians, we have built a Canada that is loved and respected all over the world. Our men and women have died together, fighting for our freedoms and the safety of hundreds of millions around the globe. Canadians were there in Europe, fighting and making the ultimate sacrifice in the Second World War long before we were joined in that effort by our American allies. Together with our allies, we were also instrumental in beating back the forces of communism and terrorism. The world would be a much darker place if not for Canada. We have built marvels of technology together. We are known the world over as a country of innovators, explorers, and entrepreneurs, but also of peacemakers, philanthropists, and contributors to the good of the world. Our federal politicians may stray from our foundational values from time to time, but our fellow Canadians, they are our family, our friends, our blood. We all know our family needs to do some work to get rid of a few bad habits developed over the past decade. But that's what we are in the process of fixing. Now is the time to double down and fight even harder for the prosperity and change we want to see in our country. Because Albertans are at our best when we are hard at work getting things done for each other and our families, solving problems, serving our communities, creating and innovating, building a stronger Alberta and a stronger Canada. And now is our chance to do so, finally with a Chinook wind at our backs instead of a winter blizzard in our face. Finally, I wish to speak with those of you who already agree with me that Alberta should remain in Canada. Let us guard against the trap of using division and demonization tactics against our fellow Albertans with whom we disagree on this matter. The vast majority of those advocating for separation love our province profoundly. Many are also proud Canadians that have simply lost hope that their families can flourish within Canada. So instead of attacking these loyal Albertans, let's work together to restore hope in their country again. Let's work together to hold Ottawa accountable for implementing the Alberta-Ottawa energy deal and get that pipeline built to the West Coast. Let's work together to get Ottawa to stand down on their unfair persecution of law-abiding gun owners. Let's work together to build an immigration system that helps support our economy while putting Alberta workers and taxpayers first. Let's demonstrate why Alberta can be stronger and more prosperous as a member of a renewed and unified Canada, one that is moving past the last 10 years to empower provinces to develop and export our resources and to govern our own provincial affairs free from federal interference. Let's use the power of hope and persuasion and reject the language of division and demonization. We are, after all, each other's neighbors, friends, and family. We must never let the voices of hatred and vilification divide us as a people. Because at the end of this debate, and when the referendum is over, we must come together to ensure that our beloved province continues to prosper. And that is my hope, that our beloved Alberta and Canada will remain forever strong and free. Thank you and good night.
So she is going to have a referendum on having a referendum. That's what it comes down to. So she has taken steps here with her government to conduct a petition drive. Not so much a petition, but I guess a dual petition drive. Which petition do you want to support? The Forever Canadian petition or the other petition on separation? And then she's saying that would then be the decision, the result of the referendum on the referendum would then be a binding order that would, if it triggers a referendum, that would be a binding thing. And then there would be a referendum at some point in the future, which would then be beyond legal challenge because the people would have spoken through a referendum process on having a referendum. But we just had a petition quashed by the courts, by the court, because it was deemed unconstitutional because they didn't consult with First Nations. And this process is similar, but does this need First Nations consultation? I'm not sure. I don't know. That's a legal question. Does this mean there might be another lawsuit? Wouldn't surprise me a bit. Before we get to the fall and whatever happens with this referendum on a referendum, I'll tell you, the campaign is going to start like now, immediately on this. In fact, it's kind of already started, hasn't it? Yeah. And I can go over to the X account for Danielle Smith and just look at the chat over there and see what people are saying. Red says, I won't believe the West Coast pipeline is happening until I see shovels in the ground. Just read Mark's book. He's one of them. One of who? He's talking about values again. Jason Levin. No surprise here. Ask a question about asking questions. Brian Everett. Carney and Pierre are globalists. November 7th, the CPC voted to keep the Liberals in power. Excuse me for coughing. Canadian Jennifer. It's too little too late. And will the pipelines ever happen? We are being placated. This is on Danielle Smith's X channel. Tea Time says, uneffing believable. EW says, no, separation is the only rational solution. Tea Time says, time to get somebody who's going to get this done. Rob Invictus Rex. Good luck, Albertans. Stewie says, Danielle for PM. Huffer says, it's BS. KNLCBD, Mark Carney is not different from JT. KNLCBD says, nice try, DS. Not too many in the chat here. I thought there would actually be more, but yeah, this channel on X didn't really generate that large an audience. I think maybe more over on her Facebook account. Ralph, it's finally time to put Alberta first. Albertan Separatist says it's either a free Alberta or remaining chained to Ottawa as it aligns itself with the CCP. Right. Okay, if you say so. So a question on a question, a referendum on a referendum. Let's go to the Alberta Referendum 2026 website. I found it, and here it is. They're freshly minted, hot off the press, and now live, Alberta Referendum 2026.ca. Stand for a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. And highlights these issues: constitutional questions, immigration questions. Again, informed Alberta has been built by people who stand up for what they believe in. From farmers and ranchers to energy workers, teachers, and nurses, Alberta is a place where people work towards something greater than themselves. A referendum. What is the 2026 referendum? A referendum is a direct vote where citizens are asked to vote yes or no on specific issues. Albertans are being asked to consider important questions about the future of the province. The 2026 referendum will be held on October 19th, with the Alberta government putting forward 9 questions for Albertans to vote on. The questions on the ballot come out of the Alberta Next panel's recommendations following extensive consultations with Albertans, subject matter experts, and policymakers from across the province as part of the Alberta Next Town Hall process. They've got the whole report that you can read if you go there. Why now? Alberta and Canada are at a crossroads. A lot has changed since the division of powers between Ottawa and the provinces was established in 1867 and constitutionally enshrined in 1982. As a country, we are facing different challenges than we were then, challenges that require empowering provinces to respond to the priorities of their citizens. It's time to modernize the constitutional balance of power across Canada so all provinces have the respect, autonomy, and tools they need to meet today's challenges head on. Talks about immigration policy over the last decade, leading to rapid population growth and significant increases in costs that has impacted the government's ability to fund and effectively deliver social services across the province. It says we need change. The road ahead may be challenging, but we know we can collectively build a stronger future for our province. It's time to stand for taxpayers, stand for families, and stand for a stronger future for Albertans in a united Canada. Number of people, 600,000. Education, 600 million plus. Provincial programs, $1 billion plus. $1 billion plus spent annual on provincial programs for temporary residents. Youth unemployment rate, 15.6%. Maybe. The thing about these unemployment rates and all these stats is they are often manipulated. They can make the numbers say whatever they want. Depends on how you massage them. That's what they do with stats. So what are the questions? The questions in this referendum get to the heart of where we are now as a province and where we want to go, directly gauging public opinion about immigration policy and strengthening the province's constitutional position. And yeah, this is why this website raises all these different issues, is because all these different questions are going to be raised on the questionnaire, the referendum questionnaire, the referendum on a referendum. See the immigration questions, see the constitutional questions. You already know what the question is that is of most interest, which is, should there be a referendum? So this is the website for the referendum, the new one. And that is it. So that's where things stand tonight. I need time to digest and reflect before saying too much about what she said. A lot of things repeated, but it's new territory. I don't think Canada has ever dealt with anything like this in quite this way before. And now a referendum on a referendum. Is this productive? Will it just elongate the problem, the controversy, the division? I'll go to the Rumble chat. Just pick up a few of the comments. Stoic teacher binding. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but yeah, I'd say that the idea here is to have the referendum on the referendum, and then the outcome of the referendum on the referendum will be binding. And if it's a vote for a referendum, then it would be a binding situation, theoretically, that a referendum would have to happen on separation. Sharon says, don't like having a threat posed to Canadians to stay Canadian. Not nice. Yeah. Yeah. Dangerous Danielle says, Sharon, I don't trust secret separatists. Just be honest with us. Who is paying you? Yeah. And all these, I don't know what you're talking about. Foreign interference. I don't see anything happening here. There's no credible evidence from the RCMP that there's any foreign interference. Yeah, there's no evidence of anything rising to the level of criminality. That's what that means. It doesn't mean that the United States doesn't have its fingers in this. What it's saying is that they haven't found any evidence of maybe an actual crime being committed to the level that it warrants charges, or maybe they're even afraid to lay charges because of the divisive, volatile nature of the environment right now. You don't want to go around arresting a bunch of people lest you get political pushback and accusations of political persecution And they're going to treat this thing with kid gloves. They're going to give a lot of latitude to the separatists at this point. They're not going to go around arresting people because it'll make them look like authoritarian thugs. That's really not what Canada's about, but you go to a certain point, certain things, something's going to happen. Now, you do something that's just blatantly illegal, and you might get yourself charged, but I'm not sure that even this data breach and the use of the electors list inside the American MAGA political movement developed software for the Centurion Project, that 10X software, that's clearly showing that there's foreign involvement in all of this, not just because of the software being used, but because of the consultations, the meetings, the tailoring of the software specifically for this separatist movement so that they could then use what apparently is illegally obtained electoral data, your digital ID, your digital electoral ID, to track you, find you, target you, and then coerce you in the nicest of ways, beat you with a stick until you vote for separation. That's what that is. Centurion Project. I got into that last night. What else is being said over here in the chat? Yeah, Serge says, Sir John A. MacDonald is screaming tonight. I expect so, turning over in his grave. Yeah. Rod Dragon says, the question on the ballot isn't even clear. Well, none of it's actually entirely clear. We need absolute clarity on this before any separation takes place. But I don't think the separatists are too worried about that. I don't think they really want to follow the rules. They just want a referendum so that they can then say, see, it's the public will. It's democratic, and we're leaving. That's it. Screw the clarity. The issue of clarity, we don't need it. Clarity Act. Maureen says she knows Alberta won't separate. She just wants to stir up crap like Trump. Maybe. But the way this just continues to percolate, escalate, they're serious about it. And it's sick, and it's not genuine, and it's not really democratic, not the way this has happened. No, if they had been genuine about it and really democratic, they would have campaigned on it in the last election as a separatist party, which would have been the proper thing to do. But that's my opinion. Sharon, I hope Albertans love Canada more than separatists want to tear her down. Yeah, me too. B51 says, I disagree. Something. I don't know what that symbol is. They won't get 9 questions. Sharon says, let us support Albertans who love this country. There's a good idea. Let us unite. Let us hold hands and sing. Yeah. Linda, distractions and division? Divid? I don't know what divot is. Ian says kitten gloves, right? Yeah. Kid gloves. Soft gloves. He says it needs a furry paws to it. Yeah, maybe. Furry paws. Maybe just pause it somehow. It's like cooler heads prevail. Is bum run Canada now, says Serge. I don't know what that means. And Linda, deflection from the data centers onto the referendum. Yeah, well, there's that too. There she is earlier in that promo saying, and we're building all these AI data centers. Isn't that great? And I'm not sure that people understand how much of an impact that is going to have on the communities where those things are built and the environment and the amount of energy they're going to suck up. And yeah, I think it's pretty crazy. My opinion is not fully formed on it yet, but it concerns me. All of that stuff. Burning up all that energy to mine for fake money, Bitcoin, and do other things. And I think there might be military applications to it all as well. Who knows what they're going to be doing with those data centers, honestly. Cracking codes, cracking passwords, hacking into things, using AI to figure out this stuff. B51 says energy, water, and minerals. Yeah, they want that for sure, even though Trump says, oh, we don't need anything Canada has. In fact, we have water rights in a lot of areas, dams that have been built to prevent flooding in the United States, water agreements that the Trump administration has let fall wayside. Yeah, they need us. They do, for a lot of different things. Energy being one of them, because in some areas we supply massive amounts of electricity to the United States. And Alberta does supply a whole lot of oil to the United States too at a discounted price. And we have other things too that they actually do want, they do need. And there's no need, and it's not true that the whole, we subsidize Canada $200 billion a year. That's not true. They don't subsidize us at all. And he talks about, he's referring to the trade deficit. That's not a subsidy. And the trade deficit doesn't really equate to an actual loss to the United States at all. It's a net positive gain on both sides, because what we send to the United States goes into the supply and production chain in an efficient, cost-efficient way, and it helps American industry grow. It's not a net negative. It's a net positive. Trump is taking the United States back to like the 1700s in terms of economic policy. And even before that, tariffs, restricted trade, zero-sum deals, rejecting the entire notion, honestly, of true free markets and putting all the power into the hands of oligarchs, a handful of very, very rich people who he is making even more powerful, and to the point where he literally is giving them a seat at the table of government during international negotiations with other countries on matters of not just trade, but also national security. An equal or maybe even larger voice at the table in China as they sat across from Xi Jinping and his negotiating team. I think that was really lost on a lot of people. It's like they see these big corporate executives, CEOs, billionaires going over there, and they're kind of celebrities, media personalities that have become common within the Trump circle, government circles, and people just accept them now as kind of fixtures there. And in reality, it's very, it's kind of inappropriate in a lot of ways because they're not elected. They don't represent the people. They represent their companies. They represent their own business interests and even their own wallets. And there they are sitting right next to the President of the United States negotiating international trade with an economic peer and a military peer. There's something wrong with the picture, boys and girls. That's not free market capitalism. Not at all. Not at all. In any event, let's wrap it up there for tonight. I need time to think about this more, reflect on it, digest it, analyze it, mull it over. And we'll talk about it, I'm sure, tomorrow as well in more depth. But tomorrow night, if all works out, we're going to have Mike McCarrick back talking about international conflicts, Ukraine, Iran, and I'm sure what's going on with Mr. Trump himself. So looking forward to that tomorrow night because we need him. He always brings a depth of knowledge and expertise that is rare, appreciated here, and brings a greater understanding that will help us all get closer to the truth. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. On the flip side, see you then.
Didn't pick this fight, but here it came. Now our own are playing a traitor's game. They sell us out for a tax cut deal. Shake his hand while they rob and steal. They call us blind, they call us weak, but they're the ones on their knees to the thief. Wave our flag while they burn it down, marching to the sound of a tyrant's crown. Patriots, they're bought and sold. Trade our land for American gold. Singing his tune, dancing his way, but they'll cry for Canada when it's too late. Yeah. Trump traitors, selling us out, burning our home for a tax break now. They stand with the wolves, spit on the brave, but they'll beg for Canada when it's in its grave. They talk real tough, but they bow real low, licking his boots while they put on a show. They chant his name, raise their fists up high, while the real ones fight to keep us alive. They don't fight fair, they twist the truth, say they're the future, but they kill the roots. They laugh now, but watch them run when the north wind howls and justice comes. Traitors, selling us out, burning our home for a tax break now. They stand with the wolves, spit on the brave, but they'll beg for Canada when it's in its grave. One day soon the tide will turn, and traitors pay when the fires burn. No statues raised, no banners flown, just names in dust where the traitors roam. Selling us out, burning our home for a tax break now. They stand with the wolves, spit on the brave, but they'll beg for Canada when it's in its grave. Trump traitors, Trump traitors, Trump traitors. Trump traitors! Trump traitors! Shame.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.